Don't try to tell me there's no time left for you. I've been very fortunate to just do so many, have so many great opportunities to do cool things. And I think a lot of times you get those opportunities by being open to them. So I've always been open to exploring opportunities and exploring things. So in doing so, it has been very broad spectrum in what it has brought me, from amazing expeditions across the planet to Antarctica multiple times, and China and India and Canada, Alaska, all over the world, and to business, which has been very interesting but exploratory in its own right, to art, to music. I think I'm one of those people that just wants to experience as much as I possibly can.
You experienced Antarctica, what is it, 5 times?
4 times.
4 times. You were part of the original North Face team?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was on the North Face team for 22 years. Pretty long time. We did exploration. I was on their, I was their poster child for many years and traveled all over the planet looking for first ascents and descents on skis. It was phenomenal. The North Face started out as a wonderful company of, built by very hardcore climbers that wanted to build the very best equipment in the world. And I had some incredible experiences with them. Very heartfelt, very true. As many companies do, they did change and they became more corporate and lost much of what their roots, where they had started from. But in doing so, they provided a lot of people with a lot of incredible experiences, and and hopefully those experiences in some way inspired other people to do great things and to adventure and to see things. So it was a great time.
What about Antarctica? Not many humans get to experience it. You, at one point, I think, mentioned climbing on icebergs.
Yeah. I've climbed on icebergs floating in the ocean, which is pretty scary.
Like you're on basically a wall above open water below you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some pretty gnarly seals.
Oh yeah, there's seals like swimming around you and willing to attack you.
Like big seals.
Yeah, big leopard seals is what they're called, and they have a macking mouth full of teeth. Crazy, they're nuts. They're you see one of those things and you watch them rip a penguin apart, and you know immediately, you're like, yeah, I don't want to tangle with one of those things, and I'm not about to fall. I do my best not to fall off of this precarious piece of ice. I don't know what the sense in climbing a precarious piece of ice floating in the ocean is, but maybe no sense needed.
No sense needed. What drove you to do it?
I think like anything, it's the experience. To know when, like I was just saying a moment ago, is to have that experience. Not very many people know what it's like to hang off a piece of ice over frigid, below freezing Antarctic waters with a leopard seal circling them. So you file that into your filing cabinet of things you've done, and in some way that gives you some sense, maybe sensibility of how this planet works. In piece by piece by piece, you build a repertoire of things you've done, and each one of those things makes you just a little bit more knowledgeable. Yeah, and the world that I lived in for many, many years, and I still live in it in a sense because many of my friends are still active participants, and I'm not so much. I would say I'm retired by choice. But yeah, it was it was very much living on the edge between life and death. And there's a line there there's a beauty held within that line of standing there on the edge of what is possible, knowing that if you fall off to the wrong side, that it's all over. And you get an enlightenment from that feeling. And I've tried to describe it to people for years, but to me, I think it is my form of, I never feel more at peace than when I've accomplished one of these things. There's a very deep sense of peace when you finish a major accomplishment, something that might have, if you'd fallen, you would have died. And I don't know why. I've always felt that way. I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but it. I think for certain people, it almost expands you, and that's why I always did it.
And in the midst of it, I mean, you talk about when you finish it, when you've gotten that accomplishment, but in the midst of it, what are you feeling?
In the midst of it, you feel focus, and people keep trying to get me to meditate, which I love the premise of it, but I'm just not sure if I'm capable of it. And to me, my meditation is skiing down a 55 to 60 degree wall. To me, that is meditative. That is where I'm at my most peaceful state. I'm calm, and I'm not thinking about anything around me except for the exact moment that I am in. Exact moment. Not the moment that was 2 seconds ago. Not the moment 3 seconds from now, but that exact moment. That to me is my meditative state. And I get it from paragliding, the same thing. When you're floating in the air and you're sensing the air, it's calming. Some people think it's dangerous and scary, but to me it's calming and it's meditative. And it's when I am in that very moment and no other moment matters.
So is there, in that meditation, is there a voice, or does everything fall away? Is it just the experience of that cold air? Is the mind silent for you, or are there times when a voice comes in? We have this mental chatter that meditation is often addressing. We quiet this chatter with meditation.
I would say that it is a quiet time for me, for the most part. Though thoughts do come through, and sometimes you go into very deep thoughts in that process, but it's very calming at the same time. And I really believe that it does quiet the chatter. It's because you're not thinking about little things. You're thinking about big things. And you're thinking about also just where you are. And like in paragliding, you're looking at, how do I catch this air and this thermal this air that's surrounding me? How do I catch this air and let it lift me to a greater height so that I can go somewhere else? And you can just think about the analogy right there of that. I mean, how many things do that? Lift you up and allow you to go other places. That's what you're doing. And so you're living your life at that moment, using nature to do things that you want to do in your life. Be lifted and go.